Good morning. Today we discuss about the fundamental duties that are enshrined in the Constitution of India, and the fundamental duties are mentioned under Part 4 of the Indian Constitution. Sorry, Part 4A of the Indian Constitution. And there is one article that is associated with this, that is Article 51A. Kindly look at this. Wherever you are coming across with this Part 4A or 51A like this, we have seen one example, Article 21A. So during that time, we have seen wherever you come across with this A or something, that is considered to be not present in the original constitution, but we have added it later through an amendment to the constitution. In the similar manner, through the 42nd amendment in the year 1976, we have added Part 4A and Article 51A. And that Article 51A talks about the fundamental duties. So what exactly these are? When I use the fundamental duties, these are all the basic duties of the citizens, they were not mentioned in the constitution. That's the reason when Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India, she thought that it is better to have certain fundamental duties for the citizens. Accordingly, she set up a committee. It was called Swaran Singh Committee, and the committee has recommended for including 8 fundamental duties to the people. But the government revised it, and the number has been increased to 10, and 10 fundamental duties were added to the Constitution of India in the year 1976. But today we have 11 fundamental duties in the Constitution, and the 11th one was added through the 86th amendment of the Indian Constitution. If you can remember, I told you some time back, through 86th amendment, Article 21A was added. Through the same amendment, 86th amendment, 11th 11th fundamental duty was also added. Let me link these 2 points here itself so that you will get the clarity. Article 21A is providing fundamental right to the children. That is the right to free and compulsory education to all the children. So today that became a fundamental right for the children. And this fundamental duty number 11, that is present in the Constitution, it is the duty of the parents and the guardians, so to send their children to the schools. So at the same time, right to education became the fundamental right for the children, and it also became the duty of the parents and the guardians to send their children to the schools. So this is what happened with these 2 amendments. One is the 42nd amendment, second one is the 86th amendment, right? Now I'll open the documents. I'll open the document and I'll show you some of the points which are associated with this. Now look at this. Very small topic. Look at this now. Look at this heading. Fundamental duties, Part 4A and Article 51A. These were added to the Constitution on the recommendation of Swaran Singh Committee in the year 1976. And the committee was constituted by Srimati Indira Gandhi during that time. And the committee recommended for the inclusion of 8 fundamental duties. The amendment included 10 fundamental duties. And point number 3, whatever we have here, we have already discussed this point during the discussion on the sources of the Indian Constitution. So the concept of fundamental duties were borrowed from erstwhile USSR. This point we have already understood. Now, look at this. The 10 fundamental duties were added to the Constitution in the year 1976 through the 42nd amendment. And the latest one, The 11th fundamental duty was added in the year 2002 through the 86th Amendment of the Indian Constitution. Kindly see it. So, though it was added in the year 2002, meaning the process was initiated in the year 2002. By the time it is completely enforceable, it was 2010. Kindly remember this. Now look at this. So 11 fundamental duties. We are just looking at this particular point. So what are these fundamental duties? Let's try to understand. Kindly remember one point. As far as this particular topic is concerned, I want you to remember where they are mentioned. What is the part and what is the article? And how many fundamental duties were added in the beginning? Now how many fundamental duties are there in the Constitution? And what was the committee? Which was the committee that recommended adding these fundamental duties? This is one aspect. Second aspect is that for all the students who are preparing for civil services examination, it was already a question in the previous examination. Like the students have been asked to list out all the fundamental duties. So it's a direct question. It's a direct question. And once you list out all the fundamental duties, you will get 100% marks that are allocated for this question. There is no point in deduction, and UPSC is not going to deduct even a single mark also. But how to remember this? I told you in the previous class some time back, you have to memorize the preamble. Memorizing in the sense, it is not just by hearting. You should be able to understand the whole preamble with the concepts, with understanding the essence of the preamble, plus understanding the meaning of each and every word is also important for the examination. That's what I told you. In the similar manner, kindly read these fundamental duties repetitively. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 100 times if you want. So don't put up any special time for this. So whenever you are leisure, just make the points of this and paste it on your study table. And before you open any book or after closing any book, you just read out all the fundamental duties with essence, with understanding. So over a period of time, you will be in a position to remember all the fundamental duties. If there is a question tomorrow in the examination, you will be getting 100% marks for this question. So that is the advantage. When you are writing this examination in that particular year, whether UPSC is going to ask the question or not, we don't know. But it is always better to be ready to answer any type of question. That's the reason it's a suggestion I am giving it to you. So whatever the fundamental duties I am showing it to you, I want you to learn them, read them repetitively and memorize. Now, so I'll open the document and I will show it to you and we'll have a discussion regarding this. Now, look at this. We are talking about the fundamental duties. The 11 fundamental duties are there. These duties are laid down in the Article 51A. Now, look at the first one. To abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and national anthem. What do you mean by this? In the beginning, when I am talking about the preamble, I told you, the preamble talks about the ideals, values, and all the citizens. They are expected to abide by the Constitution. And whatever the ideals that are given by the Constitution, and whatever the institutions that are given by the Constitution, we should abide by that. For example, look at this. We have a parliament. And the parliament is making a law. Example, I'm telling you. Meaning the Constitution has given the power to the parliament to make the laws. And as a citizens, we are expected to abide by the decisions that are taken by the parliament. But at the same time, The Constitution also provided another institution, that is the Supreme Court. So whenever I have any problem with those laws that are made, then obviously I can approach the Supreme Court. So both the things are permitted by the Constitution itself. So in this manner, the citizens are expected to abide by the Constitution. Look at this. The national flag and the national anthem. So we have a national flag, tricolor national flag, very beautiful, we know this. And also the national anthem, that is Janagana Mana. Next, number 2, look at this. To cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. So this will be understanding while talking about the Indian independence movement rather. So during that time, we'll be understanding how exactly our freedom fighters moved ahead. So what were the noble ideals for them, and what are we supposed to follow, and how they inspired our national struggle for freedom. So we are expected to follow this. Next one, to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. Look at this. If you look at the word sovereign, this word we have already seen in the preamble. Unity and integrity also we have seen in the preamble. Meaning there is a link from one part to the other part of the Constitution. And if you look at this, it is also the responsibility of the citizens to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. Right? This is one of the fundamental duties. Next one, to defend the country and render national service when called upon. It is always the responsibility of the citizen of India. He has to defend his country and also render national service when called upon. So this is another fundamental duty. Next one, look at this. To promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, and regional or sectional diversities, to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. See here, it is very clearly mentioned that the citizens are expected to treat women with great dignity. But unfortunately, what is happening in the society today, so you must be following this news. Meaning these are the people who cannot understand the values that are enshrined within the Constitution. That is the reason why we always recommend that. We always suggest that, first of all, it is the responsibility of the state to provide the quality education. Otherwise, so many people in the country knows that we have a constitution, we have a preamble, and we have the fundamental rights. We also have the fundamental duties. But majority of them, unfortunately, they don't understand the essence of the Constitution. But otherwise, whatever I'm speaking to you now, the fundamental duties, these are read during the childhood itself. So during the early classes of every person, so they might have read it. Teachers might have taught them all these things. But when it comes to the actual understanding of this one, is not being imbibed into the minds of the younger ones. So if they are not in a position to understand at that particular level, over a period of time, there is a concept of negligence that is automatically coming into the picture. So that is the one of the reasons why most of the people today, they don't talk even about the noble ideals of our freedom fighters. They don't try to talk in terms of the giving respect to the national flag and national anthem. Similarly, when it comes to the treating women with dignity, that is also missing, unfortunately. By looking at so many incidents that are happening today, so we can understand. The meaning is simple. The people They did not understand the actual values that are enshrined in the constitution. And obviously what will happen is that such type of indecent incidents will happen in the society. Hence, it is the responsibility of each and everyone who can understand the constitution in a better way to teach others about the values of the constitution and methods to be followed where the dignity of the constitution is upheld. Now, I'll open the document again. Let me come back to you right now. To promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, and regional or sectional diversities, to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. Right? Next one. If I am talking about to value and preserve rich heritage of our composite culture. So if you look at India, India is a country with a rich heritage, with a composite culture. So now all the people who are expected to, they are expected to preserve this rich heritage. Next one. To protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and the wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. Look at this. So it is also the fundamental duty of each citizen to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. But what is happening in reality? If instead of protecting and improving the natural environment, including forests, there is a degradation of the forests. On the name of the industrialization, the forests are being cut. So there are so many ill effects by cutting the forest here. If the greenery is not there, what happens to the carbon dioxide that is released into the atmosphere? So the plants, the trees, they will absorb the carbon dioxide that is present in the atmosphere and they will release the oxygen. And that oxygen is useful for the living creatures, meaning the plants and trees are doing enormous job to the environment. But on the name of the industrialization, the forest is being cut throughout the country and this is happening throughout the world. That is the reason why. So we are feeling the heat. The temperature levels are increasing year by year. At the same time, there is a depletion in the ozone layer. All these are getting added and the temperature levels are increasing. That is the reason why we feel so much of sultry even during the winter season also. At the same time, the contributions from various industries and various vehicles in the form of pollution, that is also adding up all the problems. But what is one of the fundamental duties saying and what exactly is happening? So over a period of time, the government came out and started saying that each one plant a tree. So the basic purpose is that why should we cut the trees first of all without understanding, and why should we again go for the plantation? At least the state has realized that there is a necessity to have the greenery and the plantation. That's the reason why the concept of social forestry has come into the picture. Hence, it is the responsibility of each and every citizen to protect the plantation, to protect the forest, and promote the new concept called social forestry. At the same time, rivers, lakes, everything must be protected. But in majority of the areas you have seen, the water that is present in the lakes and rivers is also coming down. These are all the various issues that are related to the too much of greediness on the part of the human beings, on the part of the state, and on the part of the people who are involved in the business. Look at this. Now, look at this once again. to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. Next, to develop a scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. Meaning, it's also important. One of the duties is to develop the scientific temper and also the humanism and the spirit of inquiry and reform to safeguard public property and abjure violence. What do you mean by this public property? Public property is nothing but the government property. Maybe it is railways, maybe it is the road transport corporation, or any other property which belongs to the government. And kindly remember, when I am using the word government, it is nothing but the people of the nation. It is nothing but the people of the nation because it is the people who elect this government. That's the reason when we say the public property, it is nothing but the property of the people of the nation. But you might have seen across the nation, sometimes agitations will take place. Agitations are very much permitted. That is a mechanism of the right to expression. We have seen under article number 19. Very much permitted. But unfortunately, sometimes what happens is that these agitations will turn into violence. During that time, the first target will be the road transport corporations. So these are, the buses are available very much on the roads. That is the reason these miscreants, the unorganized people, they will try to spoil the property of the road transport corporations. Meaning, instead of protecting the public property, they are spoiling the public property. But they have to realize that who are the losers, first of all. If the public property is lost, the loser is the common man. The losers are the people of the nation. If there is a damage, again you have to repair it or you have to replace them. For repairing and replacing the public property, again the government will incur a lot of expenditure. And where from the government is getting that money? Again, the government will impose the taxes on the people and they will try to collect more taxes from the people. Unnecessarily, the common people are the sufferers here. Because of the lack of understanding of few people, entire society will suffer. That's the reason it's a responsibility of each and every person to protect the public property. Don't spoil it. Am I clear? That's the reason here. So when we travel in the road transportation corporations or in the railways, sometimes you'll see some people will write some unnecessary and ugly writings on the walls, even in the trains and even in the toilets. These are all the ugly remarks, in fact. So these are the people who cannot understand certain things and they don't know that it is a property of theirs. Just because they think that they're traveling in this train for a moment, they are traveling in this bus for a moment, and they think that it is not their property and they will try to spoil it. So this is all because of the lack of understanding on the part of certain people here. And kindly, whenever you come across with such type of people, tell them politely please, not with aggression, politely, not to do such type of things. You try to explain them that it is our property, it is a responsibility for us to protect us. And if you tell politely, they will listen. Don't be aggressive. Don't try to fight with anybody. Tell very politely. If they are listening, that's good. Otherwise, being the fellow citizens, we need to suffer. That is what is happening in the society. Next one. Look at this. To strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity. Maybe it is individual activity or the collective activity. They should be the people should strive towards excellence so that the nation constantly raises to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. That's the reason why it is a responsibility of each individual to strive towards the excellence. When all the people are working very nicely, definitely the nation will reach to the new heights. And the last one, if you look at this, this is K. This is what is added latest through the 86th Amendment. It is the duty of every parent or guardian to provide opportunities for education to his or her child or ward between the age of 6 and 14. So, on one side, right to education became the fundamental right. On the other side, the same concept also became the fundamental duty for the parent or the guardian. This is important. They are expected to send their children to the school. They are not expected to take their child along with them to the workplace. Only during this age, if the proper education and quality education is given to the children, then there will be a development. There will be a development in the child. He will be learning so many subjects, and he will become educated, and he will aware of so many things, and finally, so he will become a very good asset for the nation. Otherwise, if he is sent to the work during this early age, unfortunately, the child in future, he may not be he may not becoming a good citizen, in the sense he cannot use his knowledge because he does not have the knowledge, and so it is the nothing but the wastage of the resources will happen. Look at this. I have one more point, two more points here with respect to this. According to this, look at this. Article 29, Clause 1 of Universal Declaration on Human Rights. Kindly remember, I am not talking about the articles that are present in the Constitution of India. I am talking about this article that is present in the Universal Declaration on Human Rights. It says that everyone has duties to the community in which alone the free and full development of his personality is possible. This is mentioned in the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights. I am not talking about the Constitution of India. Don't get confused by looking at the word Article 29. Right? So, and it says that everyone has duties to the community. Every person must perform certain duties towards the community in which alone the free and full development of his personality is possible. Fantastic statement that is given by the Universal Declaration on Human Rights. Look at this. Mahatma Gandhi, the greatest man of India, we know this. He emphasized on the economic and social responsibilities of the citizens. Important, very important one. Right. Now, to end here, let me tell you. So this is a very small topic, I told you. But I want you to go through all the points once again. Right? If possible, today itself, one time, two times, three times, very small one. But I just want you to understand each and every point. That is number one. Number two, read them repetitively because you may be asked to write in the examination. Am I clear? So this is about the fundamental duties. And when it comes to the next topic, that is part 5 of the Indian Constitution. It's a very, very elaborate topic. We'll be spending good amount of time on that particular topic here. And this part 5 is considered to be the very, very, very important topic with respect to understanding majority of the areas in the Constitution. For example, here, sometime back on day number 1, I was using a word called federation. And during that time, we understood what is the meaning of the word federation. And most of the offices or the institutions that are present at the center level are also present at the state level. Like for entire India, I have the President of India. For a state, we have governor. So whatever the functions performed by the president, similar type of functions are performed by the governor at the state level. Similarly, Prime Minister of India and Chief Minister of a state. Prime Minister is the real executive and Chief Minister is also the real executive. Prime Minister is advising the President of India. Chief Minister is advising the governor of a state. Excuse me. At the central level, I have the parliament. At the state level, we have the state legislature. Parliament is making the laws. State legislatures are also making the laws. But the subject matters are different. Similarly, I have Union Public Service Commission at the central level and State Public Service Commission at the state level. The functions are one and the same. There is no difference. But the jurisdiction is different. And you know what is the meaning of the word jurisdiction. So, while talking about the Part 5 of the Indian Constitution, we are coming across with certain institutions like President of India, Vice President of India, Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. After that, we'll see Attorney General for India. Later, we see about the how exactly our parliament will function. Now, after this, we'll see what is parliament, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, how exactly the work will happen, and who is the speaker, who is the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Later, we'll see how the bills are passed, what are the money bills, what do you mean by ordinance, and after that, we'll see about the judiciary, that is the Supreme Court. So these are all covered. These are all covered in the Part 5 of the Indian Constitution. In the similar manner, when we go to the state level, whatever the names I told you for the entire India, similar type of offices are also present over there, like governor, chief minister, advocate general, state legislature, legislative assembly, legislative council. So many things will be looking into this. But understanding Part 5 is very, very important, because when we go to the state discussions under part number 6, it is just the repetition of the same structure that is present at the central level. When we discuss about the President of India, we'll come across with some terminology and we'll be understanding what is the meaning of each and every word. And we are going to understand what are the functions of the President of India, how the President will be elected, how the President will be removed, why the President is listening to the advice of the Prime Minister every time. So many things we'll understand. And similarly, at the state level, whatever the President is doing for the entire nation, similar type of functions are performed by the governor. Hence, when we start talking about the governor, it is almost like a repetition of the functions of the President with certain limitations and restrictions. Similarly, Prime Minister, same thing we are going to discuss at the state level with respect to the Chief Minister. Attorney General is there for entire India. Example, let me tell you, Attorney General is considered to be the first law officer of the nation. Similarly, when it comes to the state, Advocate General is considered to be the first law officer of the state. Like this, everything is almost the same. Hence, very comprehensively, in a very wide manner, let's try to understand Part 5. Hence, whenever we deal with Part 6, it becomes so easy for us. And that Part 5 will be taking up for the discussion tomorrow. But today, kindly remember, please read this Part 4A once again regarding the fundamental duties, which are mentioned under Article number 51A. So thank you so much for being with me this morning. I'll stop the session now, and tomorrow morning at the same time, we'll meet for Part 5 of the Indian Constitution. Thank you so much.